Irma is barreling toward Florida with winds reaching 180 miles per hour.
This powerful Category 4 hurricane is just really beginning to batter this state.
This is the 5th strongest Atlantic hurricane on recorded history.
Strongest wind I felt all day. You have to lean into it.
Irma is expected to slam the Florida Keys at dawn and then march right up the coast, right here to Naples, Fort Myers, Tampa, all on alert tonight.
Every year during hurricane season, when there's a hurricane headed toward Florida, one of the first things we do, we reach out to every single member and we try to get a sense for how prepared are they, what needs do they have, and how can we be helpful in making sure that they're ready for the storm. We're blessed to have members located around Florida with the resources and the ability to provide help. We reached out to those members of ours, there were 9 of them, and these members of ours stepped up without asking a question. They didn't flinch. As soon as they identified what these other communities needed, they got to work and they made it happen. I think that's illustrative of the character of the membership of LeadingAge Florida.
When we got the call from Steve, we felt that, hey, neighbors helping neighbors, that's what it's all about. There was a local senior rental community of about 330 residents who were experiencing some challenges with food supplies and water supplies. We just felt like, hey, we've got provisions here. We always have provisions. We were more than happy to help out. We had a team of staff members here. We loaded up water and food provisions on the bus. And I feel good that any one of our LeadingAge members, had they been called to action to do the same thing we did in serving the members of this senior rental community, I know would have stepped up.
During the experience, it really highlighted the power of community, both within our own community and then in particular LeadingAge of Florida. We actually had a team come down comprised of different leaders of the organization and then also different support teams from other communities. At that time, we received the request for assistance for other communities in the area who were not as fortunate as us. So the team that was here actually responded to that call for need, and we supplied ice and other resources to a skilled nursing facility in Coconut Creek. And so it's just neat how we came together, you know, as our own community, but then again also recognize that we're part of much larger communities around us.
One of the things that we do here is we actually start preparing for hurricanes in June and July. We knew that we needed to be prepared for not only our residents here, but for the entire community. We are a part of the Boca Point community, so that was a big part of our outreach, was to be here and be available for a lot of our residents' families who were there, and some places lost power. We were very fortunate and we didn't. So we realized that we were going to be a lifeline for lots of folks. No one was turned away. Everyone was taken care of. There were lots of residents who had families staying with them, so we were able to provide some bedding. We were so well prepared, and that made such a difference. It was great. It was a great meeting place. It was a social event for some people, and at the same time, our residents felt so safe and so secure.
Like many others, we were really didn't know what to expect with Hurricane Irma. A call came to us as it related to a request for a nursing facility that needed ice in Fort Myers. It was a request to get about 400 pounds of ice. As we were doing that, you know, that exceeded the capacity of what we had, but we had vendors that we could contact, and during the process we found out that there was another facility needed them. We picked up 800 pounds of ice, met them literally on the side of the road, exchanged it between our bus and their vehicle, and transported that down to Fort Myers and Naples. Such a minor thing, it probably was a major thing to that facility that was impacted, which we were grateful for. I think at the time of seeing such a devastating storm to occur, this was our way of being able to manage keeping people's anxieties low and at peace.
The day that we knew Hurricane Irma was coming our way, we first start off with meetings, morning meetings, afternoon meetings. We go through all of the departments. They know what they need to do. We go down the checklist systematically. We got a call from LeadingAge saying that there was a community in Belle Glade that needed our assistance. And being that we did not lose power, we didn't really need our emergency supplies, we had ample supplies to be able to help this community. So what we did was we packed up one of our large buses with food, supplies, water. Whatever we could pack this bus, we did. And we took it, drove it to Belle Glade. We had assistance from our sister communities, and we drove to Belle Glade to bring the supplies to this community. So it was really a family bonding situation. I mean, something positive came out of a potentially disastrous situation.
We all experienced 14 inches of rain in one day. What that did to our roadways, it put them underwater, 2 feet to 3 feet of water in some instances. Regular passage of cars was not passable. We had buses that would go around and transport staff to and from high ground.
I witnessed an incredible sense of confidence and community. There was 2 communities down in Belle Glade that had lost power and didn't have any food and water, and could we help? Our community would be able to provide them dinner the following night. I was so moved by what I saw here happening at our campus that I wanted to personally deliver that meal to the residents down in Belle Glade. So we loaded up my minivan with a chicken Caesar salad dinner with all the fixins, and we drove down to Belle Glade and set up a buffet for them and served them. I was again moved by how joyful and thankful these residents were for us being there serving them, even though they had endured the last few days of not having power and having very little food, very little water. Again, I attributed that joy to a sense of confidence and community.
When I got the call from Steve Bamer that other facilities needed some help relative to the storm, and knowing how well we fared, we knew that we had to act. So I immediately contacted our Director of Dining Services, and we did an inventory of supplies that we had on hand. We immediately put together 2 very large rolling carts that included dry food goods, canned goods, paper supplies, and water that we would be able to offer them. We loaded 2 SUVs full of these supplies to be transported to these facilities in Hillsborough County, and we were very happy to be able to support them in that regard. The bottom line for me is knowing that if Menorah Manor was ever in that position and needed help, I would know that LeadingAge would be reaching out to other communities to help us, and they would have our back.
Here's a hurricane that's over 400 miles wide, with Florida just 200 miles plus. It's one of those moments that all of us as a part of LeadingAge appreciate, that when we need to help our fellow citizens, we need to be there. And that's what I think makes us different. I have a great group of JKB team members that responded, both in providing food and ice and also fuel to keep going for diesel for their generators. Put it down to Hialeah, to our friends at that community of assisted living, and really made a difference.
We grabbed one of our drivers, a van, and loaded up a bunch of water, milk, sandwiches, snacks, plates, napkins, ice, and lugged it all into there, and then hopped in the van and drove down there. It's very rewarding because when we showed up, they were there, they opened the door, and they were so happy to see us and welcomed us. They were really in need, and to be able to help them out and work for an organization that jumped at the opportunity to help out another organization in need, it felt really good.
We got a text saying that there were some places that had independent living people living there that did not have the facilities that we have, so they were going to be, it was like day 3 with no power, and they were going to be starting to eat what was in their refrigerator, which has definitely gone bad. So our chefs got right on it, never said another word, just okay, and next thing I knew, 150 spaghetti dinners went over. After all that, you know, about a month later, we get this beautiful award. Never saw something like that. And, you know, it was really touching that somebody really cared enough to actually say, you know, you guys really went over and above.
We recognize them, just a token of recognition, expressing our gratitude for their selflessness and for their willingness to step into the breach when people were in need.